Duba.
Hello, good morning to you, and many thanks for joining us. You're watching Galaxy today, coming to you from Galaxy Television. My name is Justin Akadonye. Thanks for joining us.
And as usual, he's not alone. He's with Uche Onyekuje. Good morning, and of course, welcome to Galaxy today. Today being May 27th. First of all, we want to say Happy Children's Day to every child. We want to say, may this day bring the best of God to you. And of course, especially to Justin, who's also still a child. Happy Children's Day, Justin. Okay, like you rightly said, today being Monday, we'll be going serious. We did promise you that on Friday. Justin, don't give me that look. You're still a child. Okay, so we'll be looking at INEC declares PDP candidates winners of Zamfara state elections. Justin, don't look at me that way.
All right, we'll be looking at that. But before we get into that, in commemoration of today's occasion, Children's Day, the governor of Benue State, the wife that is Eunice Autumn, gathered some children just yesterday to inculcate the habit of reading and reading literary works. We'll take that report and we'll now get straight into our topics. Let's take that report now.
Imbibing the culture of reading good books among school children has been described as one veritable way children can develop and build their skills and in turn help become better persons in the future. Wife of Benue State Governor Dr. Eunice Autumn made this known when she hosted a small group of some selected school children and their teachers as part of effort to make the Children's Day celebration in Makurdi. While saying that there is no better time than now, she urged school teachers to begin to prefer ways on how they can improve reading culture among their pupils through literary works and assignment.
When you read, you become literate enough, you understand things more. You are also well placed to take better decisions and make the right choices in life.
After engaging the pupils on a drama literature, the governor's wife called on them to read books that will give them positive direction in life.
Not just any book, but good books. Books that will add value to your lives. Books that will help you create a mind that will give you a positive direction in life.
Children's Day is annually observed in Nigeria on May 27th. The holiday is celebrated by government and non-governmental organizations. Observance of Children's Day in Nigeria is aimed to raise public awareness of problems that children face.
All right, welcome back. That was the governor's wife there of Benue State, Dr. Eunice Autumn, reading to children and trying to inculcate the habit of reading culture in them. Well, we wish all of our children in Nigeria and in the diaspora happy Children's Day, and we pray that this time around our government, will continue to get it right when it comes to the welfare of children and, of course, their education. Well, that's not our focus on the show this morning. We will be looking at politics, specifically in Zamfara State, and of course how the fate of the APC has seemingly changed in that particular state. All right, what we hear from Sunday, or Saturday rather, is that the Independent National Electoral Commission, has declared all the candidates of the PDP winner of the national and state elections that were held in that state. We have guests here in Lagos and other states that will be discussing that issue with us. Let's know what the fate and the potential of the PDP in the 9th Assembly will be, if it will affect, their proceedings. We'll be talking about that. We have representatives that will be looking at the issue with us. Once again, let's take a bit of a reminder of how it went down on Saturday before we come talk, squarely on that particular issue. Stay with us. The Independent National Electoral Commission will today, Monday, May 27, present certificate of return to the People's Democratic Party's members who were declared winner by the Supreme Court on Friday. The event is coming in the wake of the Supreme Court's judgment, which voided all votes cast in favor of the ruling All Progressives Congress in the last governorship election in Zamfara State. Addressing journalists in Abuja Saturday, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu said the Commission received the judgment and reviewed the ballot cast in that election and concluded that candidate of the People's Democratic Party, being the runners-up in the election, be recognized as winners. He, however, declared Bello Mohammed Matawali as the governor-elect, while Mahdi Gozo is returned deputy governor.
Now determined the winners of the elections in Zamfara State as follows. Governorship. Governor Bello Mohammed Matawale, PDP. Deputy Governor Mahdi Aliu Gusau, PDP, will issue certificates of return to the new winners as follows. Governor and Deputy Governor-elect, Senators-elect, and members of the House of Representatives-elect will receive their certificates on Monday, 27th May 2019 at the Commission's Electoral Institute at 2 p.m. Members of the State House of Assembly-elect will receive their certificates from the Resident Electoral Commissioner for Zamfara State at the INEC State Office in Gusau on Friday, 31st May 2019 at 10 a.m.
The INEC chairman also declared PDP candidates winners of the 3 senatorial districts, 7 federal constituencies, and the 23 state constituencies of the state. He also announced candidate of the National Rescue Movement, Kebiru Hashimu, as the winner for the Maru South State constituency. Yakubu, however, charged political parties on responsible internal democracy as lack of proper conduct of party primaries, he said, may cause a repeat of the Zamfara experience.
Delivered on the 24th May 2019, the Supreme Court, having determined that the APC did not conduct valid primaries, said that the votes cast for the party in all the elections in question were wasted, and ordered the Commission to recognize the runners-up as the winners. This judgment affects the positions of Governor and Deputy Governor, the 3 senatorial, 7 federal, and 24 state assembly constituencies.
While the governor, deputy governor, senators, and House of Representatives elect are to receive the certificate of return at the Electoral Institute on Monday, members of the State House of Assembly will receive theirs from the Resident Electoral Commissioner for Zamfara State at INEC office in Gozo on Friday, May 31st, 2019. All right, welcome back. You just watched that reporter, that's the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Yakubu Mahmood, talking about what happened, a fallout of the Supreme Court's judgment on Friday. We have a guest here in Lagos with Uche will introduce to us. I'll
gladly introduce it because of Justin's tongue. He is Honorable Kehinde Odeneye, representative for Ijebu, Odogbolu, Ijebu Northeast. We have him in the studio. I want to say a big welcome. Good morning, sir. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning, Uche. Good morning, Justin.
Honorable. Thanks for joining us. And also standing by in Ibadan, we have a member of the PDP Board of Trustees, Dr. Saka Balogun. Honorable, you know, it seems to be like a different stroke of fate for the All Progressives Congress, which is your party, since the weekend. First of all, it was the judgment of the Supreme Court on Friday, and just on Saturday, INEC, after reviewing the court proceedings, it went ahead to declare the members of the PDP winners at the national and state election. How did that particular news reach you?
Yeah, sincerely, the news was very shocking.
Okay.
And it was very unfortunate. And I think PDP is reaping from where they did not sow.
Why? So? And
that was why that judgment was not well delivered to me. I'm not a lawyer, but common sense. You know, look at it from this way, from this angle. The INEC claimed that APC did not have a good primary
Candidates.
elections.
Yes.
That was the cross of the whole thing. And some of the members of APC, led by Senator Marafa, went to court to say that they were not in agreement with the APC primary that produced the eventual candidate that won the general election. So the matter is so simple. One, if at all, because I still want to reason with the judges on what their decisions were based.
Okay.
Because if APC did not have correct, let me put it that way, correct primary elections, the way INEC expected,
Yes.
that shouldn't in any way transfer the victory of APC to PDP. What it simply means is that the person produced by the primary elections that INEC did not agree with should be the one to be disqualified and not the party not presenting a candidate. Because that is the judgment of the court. Which to me, though I'm not a lawyer, but which to me is not correct. It's always been the case that it is the party that has election, that runs election, not the candidate. Because if you look at the ballot papers, you do not have candidates' names written on the paper. So if some members of the APC complained that the primary election, they were not in agreement with the primary election, so they had a case to prove. They have a case to prove that no, the person that has been chosen was not the correct person, but I should be the candidate of the party. So how does that in any way disqualify the party from having a candidate? So the only thing I expected the court to say is that go and run a primary election. And you see, if you look at the case, right from beginning, even the first judgment before the case got to appeal and now to Supreme Court was wrong. What I expected the first court to do was to disqualify the candidate of APC and ask them to have another primary election that will produce. Is it that you just disqualify him and make the person that has complained the candidate, or you ask them to do another primary election?
Would it be right to do a primary election after the election has been
No,
done?
the case was before election.
Okay.
The case actually started before election. Okay. It was not after the election. Okay. The case started from before the election. So I was expecting that first court to disqualify. Is it that to disqualify the candidate produced by the primary election that was being a subject matter, or you declare the person that has gone to court, if he actually qualified, you declare him the candidate. So you can't disqualify the party, because of the complaints of some members.
Okay.
Yes, because INEC said they didn't witness the primary that produced the candidate of the party that eventually won the general election. That was the cross of INEC, and the party members, the APC party members led by Senator Marafa that went to court, also said they were not in agreement with the primary election that produced that candidate. So if that is the case, the court I expected is to look at that case and see if it was true that the election that produced the candidate was not well organized. So what happens? You can't disqualify the party because of those individuals that were fighting.
Okay, please, I'd like us to go back to the real cause of all this. I mean, why go to court if it's an internal crisis? Why was it not settled internally, involving the party elders and the rest to solve this before going to court? Why did APC, why did they go to court and at the end of the day favor PDP?
There were so many gladiators here. There were so many players involved. Yes, I won't say because I'm actually looking at two angles. I'm actually talking from two angles here. Yes, I'm defending my party not being disqualified. Shouldn't have been disqualified. But if you look at the gladiators that led to all this, it is just mere sheer greediness and unnecessary fight. One, the outgoing governor of Zamfara State, to me, caused the whole problems that happened in Zamfara State.
How so? How did he do
Why?
that?
Because the party has guidelines for the selection of candidates through primary elections. And those primary elections were to be monitored by the party agents to be appointed or selected from the national secretariat. The state party secretariat cannot and do not have the right and the power to select or organize primaries to produce the candidates.
Okay.
So that is in the constitution of the party and the guidelines. You know, the guidelines the party put down, laid down,
rules,
that is the guideline that the national secretariat will conduct primary elections in all states of the federation. So, and that was what happened. There was a team that went there, that went to Zamfara State, that did not agree. No, they couldn't have an agreement or reach an agreement with the governor. But the governor has his own candidates that he wanted produced as a candidate of the party. And you know, a lot of people complained of not being carried along. You know, Senator Marafa, Honorable Jaji, and so many other ones. Even the defense minister was also an aspirant. All the aspirants complained that the primary election that the governor conducted, that the state party secretariat conducted, was not in accordance with the laid down provisions and rules and guidelines of the party, national secretariat. That's the grounds. So, and you see, I watched a video where the governor was raking and saying, you know, cursing the national chairman of the party, and even, you know, saying that if the national secretariat send delegates to come and rerun, to come and conduct a rerun primary elections, that those people would not find it funny.
Okay, Honorable, we'll come back to you. Let's get reactions now, you know, from the flip side. Let's get to the People's Democratic Party. Joining us live from Ibadan is Dr. Saka Balogun. He is a member of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today, Dr. Balogun. I just heard from Honorable Odeneye. He has actually voted the Supreme Court's judgment on this particular matter with the APC in Zamfara State. In your opinion, I know you might have a contrary view. Let's hear it.
When he was arguing that if the court should not have decided this way or that way, of course he confessed that he's not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer either, but I think common sense alone is enough to determine how it should go. In fairness, the court, by my assessment, has taken the right decision because the court insisted that the APC must obey his own constitution with reference to how primaries should be. The follow-up of the last speaker's contribution really came back to the focus of the real problem. That is, the governor in Zamfara ignored the constitution of the APC to insist on his own way of conducting the primary, contrary to the provisions of their constitution and the guidelines by INEC. It can be likened to the same situation that happened in Ogun State. The governor conducted his own primary. Of course, there was initial confusion. Is it direct or indirect? Some people said, yeah, it should be direct. But the governor said, it's going to be by consensus, later on by indirect something. The governor came with his own list. The other party members said no. And what happened in Ogun State was very similar to what happened in Lagos State. But because Asiwaju Tinubu is more powerful in the government and in the party of APC, what the party rejected in Ogun State was accepted in Lagos. That's, double standard. But with reference to Zamfara, which you have asked me, I think it's clear to any person who has semblance of balance, fairness, and equity to put the fault at the doorstep of the party in Zamfara State. As far as I know, it's the party that conducts the primary, and whatever election is won by the party. So if the party failed to conduct an acceptable primary, how can you then say the candidate should be spared? As built-in contradiction. It doesn't follow any logic. But I don't have to be a lawyer to know that. So this problem arises from this idea of I'm too powerful to do whatever I like. It's impunity. And the lesson of Zamfara should dawn on every other member of any party, including my own. That's the PDP. We should avoid impunity. We should be able to follow the contents of our own constitution. We should be able to follow the requirements of our own constitution, whether it's PDP or APC or whatever other party. And it's because the parties have not been doing anything close to internal democracy that we have most of the problems in the elections. By my assessment, INEC tried very, very, very hard to follow the system. I know, there are times it appeared to be succumbing to pressure, but by and large, it tried. So the problem is not with the candidate, it's with the party. The party flouted its own constitution, flouted guidelines from INEC. INEC pronounced before it was too late that a properly conducted primary should be done in Zamfara. The governor insisted that he will have his way, and the national chairman of the party APC was boasting all over the place that there was nothing they could do, that APC will have his candidate, just as he led them into trouble in Rivers State. So let's have it neat. Let's do it properly, so that things can progress and we can deepen our democracy. You can't just say because you are powerful, then you just have your own rule of the thumb. That will not help anybody. And that lesson in Zamfara should send a notice of warning to all the parties, including PDP, whatever, and other parties. Let us do it well. If political parties we ensure internal democracy, we follow internal democracy, most of the problems in the election will be resolved without going to court. That's my position.
All right, thank you so much. We were speaking with Dr. Saka Balogo, a member of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party. We do appreciate your thought and your efforts at reaching out to us this morning. That's as much as we'll take from your state. We have Imo, Ekiti, and Abuja also standing by on the show this morning. But before we get to any of them, I'd also want to get your reaction based on what he had said.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything less from what expecting anything less, because his party actually has been given the mandate. I mean, the results favor the party. So I wasn't expecting anything less. But one thing I'm happy with what he has said is that, yes, it will sound a warning to every party, and to the extent that we have to respect internal democracy and do things properly. But having said that, we should not shy away from saying, looking at the decision of the court, because it is the Supreme Court and not any other court. What this decision simply means is that it's going to form a basis of judicial precedence. In order, unless and until Supreme Court comes back to take another decision, another position on this decision, or else it is going to cause crisis. Let's look at it from this angle again. Even if at all you are disqualifying the party, which I do not agree with, which is not also constitutional, do you now just award or cancel outrightly the total votes of APC and assume the second party won automatically? Were the judges not looking at a scenario where it was possible for those people that actually voted for APC, if APC had not been a party to that, if APC had not been allowed to produce candidates, Were the judges not looking at it that those people that voted for APC could have also voted for another party and not PDP? They were not looking at it from that angle. So ordinarily, what I was expecting the Supreme Court judgment to look like or be like is that, okay, fine, we are cancelling the election of Zamfara State. If APC did not qualify to actually contest, leave APC out of it and ask the other parties that you feel qualified to rerun the elections.
So there should have been a rerun.
There should have been a rerun without APC if that was the angle they wanted to look at it from.
Okay.
It wasn't just APC and PDP.
It wasn't just APC and PDP.
Okay, let's see if Ari or Dari Atoye agrees with you. He is the convener, Coalition in Defense of Nigerian Democracy and Constitution, and he's joining us live from the Federal Capital Territory. Many thanks once again, Mr. Atoye. Our guest here in Lagos, Honorable Odeneye, seems to think that the Supreme Court erred in its ruling, cancelling the All Progressives Congress. He is of the opinion also that the Independent National Electoral Commission should have also done a rerun without the APC. What are your thoughts exactly concerning the fallout of these proceedings?
Oh, thank you very much, and good morning to the people of Oyo State and by extension Nigeria. And let me say this, I passionately listen to our friend in the studio making some also passionate, giving his own passionate view about the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment. But I don't think the Supreme Court had done anything that was strange in the context of this matter. Probably it would be good for us to review plethora of cases in which our various courts have made pronouncements that have affected virtually all the political parties or the main political parties in the country at one point or the other. Is it the ACN, is it the PDP or the AD, and now the APC? It should not be an isolated review if we are to do justice to it. We must look at various judgments in which votes of other parties have been nullified in order to give advantage to another party. For instance, let me quickly remind us of what happened in Ekiti State in 2010 when judgment was given in favor of the ACN. You will recall vividly that because of the use of biro that was used to used in that election, just the color, is it the color of the biro? Now, all the results of the election in which the biro, this color of biros were used were nullified and removed and subtracted. And that gave the ACN the advantage of winning. Now, in this case, it's very obvious. The APC did not come to the party. To the party in the sense did not come for this election. It was a self-inflicted problem. I gave this Ekiti scenario for people to understand that it is not in all cases that when votes are nullified or votes are removed or are deducted, that people must go for a rerun. Now, the Supreme Court matter is very clear. APC was not a participant in this election. It's the same thing in context with what happened in Rivers State. It is just that I would say, with all due respect, that a judicial officer, a judge, did a disservice to this nation by allowing the APC to go into that election towards what you can call a kangaroo judgment. And I think that some persons in Zamfara State, probably the PDP or even the party that went to court to sue the other faction of the APC, should take a step further and petition the NJC over the ruling of that judge. It's simply the same issue in the case of Rivers State. So APC shouldn't have proceeded to contest the governorship election ab initio. So now that they were able to wriggle out of this process, went for this election, participated in this election, and the Supreme Court has also now decreed and made its pronouncement, which is final. The only place you can appeal this is in heaven. And what that means is that the vote of APC is to the extent of that judgment a non-existent. Does not exist as far as the judgment of the Supreme Court is concerned. APC has no vote. So every vote of the APC is a wasted vote and is a nullity. And you cannot allow the election to bear the burden of APC vote that have been nullified. So, and it is a lesson that politicians and political parties must learn. These are consequences, these are things that will enrich the jurisdiction of our legal system. It will also serve as a deterrent to political parties to conduct themselves. It will also help some of us in the civil society to also press for certain reforms in such manner that we must have concluded all primaries 2 months or 3 months before the general election. A situation where we are having issues about primaries 3 days, 4 days to election will never or continue to augur well for our nation. And it's also a disservice to INEC. So we all have this responsibility not to condemn this outcome of this judgment. It will help us to strengthen our political parties process, help us to strengthen primary process in our political party, and it will help us to better organize our democracy. We don't need a situation whereby people are personally violating their own rules. It was a self-inflicted intra-party problem. An APC, cannot be a judge in its own matter. Just like the lawyers will say, they will put it in a legal perspective that you can't be a judge in your own matter. So for me, I think the Supreme Court has given a judgment which the politicians must learn from. We should not gloss over this. All the parties should return to the drawing board and know that, look, even if it is the PDP or any other party, you will also be shown the same red card if you follow the same process that is not due.
All right, thank you so much. We've been speaking with Rio Dari Atoye, a convener, Coalition in Defense of Nigeria's Democracy and Constitution. He joined us from the Federal Capital Territory. Many thanks for sharing your thoughts with us on Galaxy today. Honorable, you just heard him. It is like a self-infliction. APC doing its own self, internal wrangling, He also made one valid and cogent point. He talked about the issue of internal democracy and party primaries to be done like months before the elections proper. What's your position on that?
To a large extent, I agree with some of his submissions.
Okay.
Though I still don't agree with the final conclusion of the Supreme Court, because it's going to have a last, it's a decision that will tell on so many other
just like what
positions.
happened in Ekiti. And
let me quickly say this. I would still want the Supreme Court judges to sit and review and take positions on, because we have similar cases in different states, but with different decisions.
Okay.
And I'm happy he mentioned the issue of River State.
Yes.
So meaning that right from beginning, and as I put it earlier, put it on earlier, that if it was true that APC shouldn't, in the first instance, which I still don't agree with, shouldn't have gone for the election, that means right from beginning, they shouldn't have been allowed to produce a candidate. I agree with him, the way it went in River State. And we wouldn't have been where we are today talking about this final decision. So I still want a decision whereby INEC and Supreme Court will still have to sit down, do a proper review and explanations, so that the various decisions that have been taken in various cases and different states will become more clearer to Nigerians. Meanwhile, it is also very clear now that there's a need for us to re-amend. We have done some amendments to the Electoral Act. There's a need to also go back now and re-amend. Re-amend to the extent that we give enough time between the time the primary elections are held and the final submissions of lists and elections, so that when primaries are held, anybody that is aggrieved has enough time the court also has enough time, up to the extent of Supreme Court, to make final judgment of, pertaining to, the candidacy before elections are held. To the extent that either a party or candidates or even the general public are not, disqualified or disallowed or disenfranchised from exercising their right of voting for the party they want.
Okay, can we also look at it from this way? Amongst the whole parties, every party had their own candidates during the Zamfara election. It looks like APC was the highest, followed by PDP.
Yes.
So it could actually mean that the Supreme Court thought, like, since APC cannot hold based on the crisis that dropped the man, is only that you give it to the next, what we call like the runner-up, the next party. So probably PDP was close in line and they just felt PDP could take over. Probably if it was another party that had a higher number of votes, then maybe that party would have taken over.
Yes, that was the position.
So as against you saying them having a rerun of election.
That is the position. That is the position of the court. But I'm saying that the court ab initio right from beginning made errors. If compared to the decision of the same court processes as pertaining to River State.
Okay.
If APC had been disqualified from participating in the election, if that was correct in court, if they had been disqualified, how were the judges so sure that it was going to be PDP that will be second or that will still win? Okay. If, because it's not impossible and it's not unlikely that supporters of APC will have supported another party as against PDP. So that is my own position. That ordinarily, what I expected from the Supreme Court is to say that the first court that allowed APC to participate had in error. And if that be the case, if they had in error, it was for us to go back to the beginning and not just picking it at the end. What the Supreme Court had done is to pick the case at the end and not from beginning.
Okay, but Honorable, looking at all of this now, a new assembly, the Night Assembly, will be rolling on sometime next month. Looking at all that has happened, I want to find out the fate of the APC at the 9th Assembly right now. Does it in any way affect them? Because right now, from what we have so far, the PDP now has new 3 senatorial districts, that's in Zamfara State, and 7 federal constituencies in the state.
Even with the decision of the Supreme Court and with the additions to PDP, the APC still leads in both chambers, the Senate and the House of Reps. Although in the Senate, it's becoming very close, just a difference of about 8 or 12. That is between the APC and PDP. Just a difference of about 8 or 12. So that is very close. Anything could happen. The PDP will now see themselves as being a very, very relevant party in the scheme of things, in determining the leadership of the Senate. In the House of Reps, addition of 7 is still not a very good one for PDP. So the APC still leads. So, and the way things are now...
Shouldn't the APC be looking over its shoulders right now, the Senate?
No, definitely. In the Senate, they have to do a critical wash. And they also have to extend the hands of fellowship to PDP. Because...
Why so?
No. Why? Because if you have a difference of 8 or 12, it's not an automatic victory for APC. What happened in 2015? Honorable Dogara, the Speaker, won by just 8 votes against Femi Gbajabiamila. So, meaning that in the Senate, if the gap is as close as that, between 12 and 8, it's a very dangerous... so it means that some members of APC could still be convinced if they are able to do their negotiations well with PDP, for them to go ahead and negotiate with PDP. So the APC has to go back to the drawing board now, most especially in the Senate, to go and sit down again and ensure that, one, they have all their members in their kits for their own election. And again, let's look at it from this perspective. APC is having about 3 contenders for the Senate seats, meaning that there are votes about 40-something, 48 or thereabout, or 51, will now be divided amongst 3. If PDP has its own intact, it's a problem for APC. So that's why I said I am a bit worried for APC in the Senate, as unlike in as compared with the House of Reps.
Okay,
so we have to be APC has to be very careful, and they have to go back to the drawing board and do their work.
Okay, I'd like to take us back to the Zamfara issue, looking at it from the angle of political unrest. Do you think this could lead to any kind of uproar in Zamfara? This lead to any kind of...
So far so good. There hasn't been any agitations.
Okay.
There hasn't been any negative reactions from the public. There hasn't been any protest anywhere.
Okay.
I think it's just a lesson.
Okay.
As the last speaker actually put it, it's a lesson to everyone that yes, I think we have gone far in our democratic processes.
Okay.
And we are learning day by day. And I think it's high time that we put those learnings into actions. We can't continue to learn. We won't, all this that happened in 2019 election should not be allowed to happen again in 2023. If we are actually serious as a country that actually wants dividends of democracy and that actually come to institutionalize our democratic process. I think we have learned enough, and we are supposed to now put all those learnings into action. So what this also teach everybody is the fact that you can't arrogate what does not belong to you. You can't arrogate it to yourself. And that's exactly what the governor of Zamfara has done. And unfortunately, he's not the only one that has been affected now. Everybody, all APC members in Zamfara State have suffered this. All APC members in Nigeria have suffered this. Because now the number of governorship seats that we have in Nigeria has now been cut down by one. The number of seats we have in Senate has now been cut down by three. The one we have in House of Reps has now been cut down by 7. Just because of the action of just one person that has refused to allow the national interest to...
we'll talk about that, about party supremacy and of course internal wranglings in the APC and the way forward in that particular party when we return. And there's still Galaxy. Today we are looking at the INEC decision on Zamfara APC. Please feel free to interact with us on social media using the hashtag Galaxy Today. You can also send SMS if you have contributions or if you have questions for Honorable Kehinde Odeneye. In a moment we'll return with more. Do join us again. The Independent National Electoral Commission will today, Monday, May 27, present certificate of return to the People's Democratic Party's members who were declared winner by the Supreme Court on Friday. The event is coming in the wake of the Supreme Court's judgment which voided all votes cast in favor of the ruling All Progressives Congress in the last governorship election in Zamfara State. Addressing journalists in Abuja Saturday, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu said the Commission received the judgment and reviewed the ballot cast in that election and concluded that candidate of the People's Democratic Party, being the runners-up in the election, be recognized as winners. He, however, declared Bello Mohammed Matawali as the governor-elect, while Mahdi Gozo is returned deputy governor.
Now determined the winners of the elections in Zamfara State as follows. Governorship. Governor Bello Mohammed Matawale, PDP. Deputy Governor Mahdi Aliou Gusau, PDP, will issue certificates of return to the new winners as follows. Governor and Deputy Governor-elect, Senators-elect, and members of the House of Representatives-elect will receive their certificates on Monday, 27th May 2019 at the Commission's Electoral Institute at 2 p.m. Members of the State House of Assembly-elect will receive their certificates from the Resident Electoral Commissioner for Zamfara State at the INEC State Office in Gusau on Friday, 31st May 2019 at 10 a.m.
The INEC chairman also declared PDP candidates winners of the 3 senatorial districts, 7 federal constituencies, and the 23 state constituencies of the state. He also announced candidate of the National Rescue Movement, Kebiru Hashimu, as the winner for the Maru South State constituency. Yakubu, however, charged political parties on responsible internal democracy as lack of proper conduct of party primaries, he said, may cause a repeat of the Zamfara experience.
Delivered on the 24th May 2019, the Supreme Court, having determined that the APC did not conduct valid primaries, said that the votes cast for the party in all the elections in question were wasted, and ordered the Commission to recognize the runners-up as the winners. This judgment affects the positions of governor and deputy governor, the 3 senatorial, 7 federal, and 24 state assembly constituencies.
While the governor, deputy governor, senators, and House of Representatives elect are to receive the certificate of return at the Electoral Institute on Monday, members of the State House of Assembly will receive theirs from the Resident Electoral Commissioner for Zamfara State at INEC office in Gozo on Friday, May 31st, 2019. All right, welcome back. Now, Honorable, in our closing moment of the show, this is like a big shocker to the All Progressives Congress. Looking at this right now, let's talk about takeouts from all of this and lessons to be learned as regards party supremacy.
Yeah, the lessons to be learned from this, one is that we shouldn't be selfish, and no matter how high we had there, we also have the rules, we have the regulations, we have the laws that has to be obeyed. The laws is not a respecter of anybody. So, and the laws are meant to be obeyed. So even when you are the governor or you are the chairman or anybody, you have to respect the laws. And at the same time, we also have to bear in mind, especially for those of us that are in power, have to bear in mind that our actions could cause grave consequences, negative one, on our followers. So we shouldn't be looking at ourselves all alone. We have to take a lot of things into consideration before we take decisions, before we take actions on some things. So if this Zamfara governor had looked at so many things surrounding these issues, I think if he also has the fear of God, that is God is only God that can give and take, I think he would have just let everything lie low in this, and we wouldn't have found ourselves. In this case now, he's not a winner, he's a total loser, and all the APC family across the world have lost. So you can see the way the action of just one person had caused pains in the hearts of a lot of people, and even the voters in Zamfara State. It's so disheartening that people casted their votes for a party that they loved, that they wanted to win, that they wanted to be in power. Unfortunately, all their efforts, all the money spent, effort, activities, everything had gone down the drain just because of the action of just one single person. So there's a lesson to learn from this. Party supremacy is very important. Selfishness will be set aside. We also have to take we also have to look at everybody, both the party people and even the populace, into considerations when we are taking our actions. And that is what this has taught us.
Wow, thank you so very much, sir. We do appreciate your coming out and for the little moral you've given. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so we've been speaking with Honorable Kehinde Odeneye, representative for Ijebu Odogbolu, Ijebu Northeast. A big thanks to you, and of course to Ario Dariatoye, convener, Coalition of Defense of Nigeria Democracy and Constituency. As well as to Dr. Sakaba Logun, member PDP Board of Trustees from Ibadan in Oyo State. And to you who sat back to enjoy the program, I want to say very big thanks. We'll be back same time again tomorrow. Make it a date with us. I am Uche Onyekoluchi. Do have a wonderful Monday. And once again, happy Children's Day to all the children in Nigeria and across Nigeria.
All right, once again, many thanks for watching. I am Justin Academy. Honorable is laughing because I said Happy Children's Day to our children in the diaspora. That's the size of our show for today. We'll return again tomorrow. Bye for now.